9 to 5 is a lot of your life to waste being miserable. You are going to see results based on the time and effort that you put into it. I feel like this is almost like a confessional. Focus on your passion and focus on your dream life because it's not that far off, which is why I actually started my YouTube channel, because I needed some sort of creative outlet. Over the past year, I have like completely shifted my life into the dream. Drum roll! I bought a bridal salon. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I've got a very different one for you than I've ever done before. This is sort of next level because I'm kind of nervous actually. I feel like I'm in an interview. It's actually less because it's for anybody watching it and it's more for me as like sort of a time capsule. I really want to look back on this in the future and see how far I've come, and it's like putting it down on paper finally, but putting it into a video and putting it out on the internet, like there's no taking it back now. But basically I just wanted to give you guys an update about where I'm at, because my life, how it is now compared to how it was a year ago, couldn't be any more different. And I know New Year's is coming up and it's sort of the time for rebirth and new beginnings and starting your life off in a new year the way that you want to continue it. So I figured now's a good time to make this because I completely changed my life and I wanted to tell you what I did and how I did it. So let's just get right into it, I guess. I'm gonna be super comfy and casual in this video. We're in a new spot. This is my living room. The candles are burning. The coffee machine is on in case I need it. First of all, if you haven't seen the video that I did where I said I quit my 9 to 5 corporate job to pursue my dream, I feel like I'm so nervous. Oh my goodness. Okay. But I didn't really get into what that actually means. The long and short of it is I've always wanted to, one, work in fashion, which is why I actually started my YouTube channel, because I needed some sort of creative outlet to be able to get like out of my system all the passion that I had for fashion. I kind of hate that that rhymes. My passion for fashion. I didn't have anything like that in my actual life, my day-to-day life. I also wanted to get on YouTube and like maybe use this as a side hustle one day, that sort of thing. So I started my channel. Being in my corporate job, I just realized like I hate this so much, and 9 to 5 is a lot of your life to waste being miserable. So I quit my job. You can hear more about that in that video. This is basically like the following up, telling you what I actually did. I think another important point to make is that I grew up around entrepreneurship, and I grew up where my dad had businesses, and my husband and I have been together now for 10 years and seeing his family and how they're business owners. They've had a lot of businesses in the past and they have businesses now. My husband has his own business, and that was always something that I wanted to do. Even with my background in accounting, I just always felt like it leaded me into this sort of path. And so, drum roll, I bought a bridal salon, and I am now a bridal fashion designer, and it is so surreal to hear those words come out of my mouth. Today was actually the first day that I posted about one of the dresses that I made for the Spring Summer 2023 collection, and I don't feel like I have imposter syndrome. I don't feel like this isn't exactly where I'm supposed to be, and I don't feel like this isn't my path and so exactly what I'm meant to be doing, because that's just exactly how I feel about it. But I still don't really believe myself when I hear the words come out of my mouth, because I'm just really happy. I'm just really happy. So I'm in my second month of owning my business, which has been crazy. And so I wanted to document basically all the things that I've learned and how I've done things. I looked into these videos before I started just to see like, how do people actually get into the fashion industry, and how do you make that pivot? How-to videos on becoming an entrepreneur, and especially one at, I'm 26, so how to be a young entrepreneur, how to be a young female entrepreneur, how to be an entrepreneur in fashion, all of these sort of things. And there wasn't a ton of content out there like this where you're actually showing the going through it stages and not just the you've made it stages. So, I mean, there are a lot of people that I follow that have made it, or at least in my eyes have made it. Like Catherine Manning is a huge one. Her motto is create a life you love, doing what you love. And one day I will end up on her podcast. I love her so much, and her message and just everything about her. I think media has been amazing in terms of showing step by step the journey. And it's because they're at like a multi-million-dollar company, obviously, like it's a really great thing to be able to take the tips from people that have seen so much success. Alex Hormozi, a little controversial, but I love his perspective on things. His idea about things is very basic, but it's just not something that everybody is willing to do, is to like make massive sacrifices in the beginning in order to set yourself up in the long run. So those are just the three that I'm sort of on right now. But if anybody wants to see somebody actually go through the process and to know step by step what I'm doing while I'm doing it at the start, like I haven't necessarily reached success depending on how you define it. To me, like being able to live a day-to-day life that I love and pursue my passion and get into fashion. This is just what I've done. If you want to follow along, it's a little bit of a different shift, but I think it's something that also works really well with my channel. Anyway, expect more of this sort of stuff because this is exactly what I've always wanted to share, but I would much rather be able to give tips about what I have done or how I've gone about changing my life. This is sort of video number 1 in that sort of series of the new life. Here we are. So, in terms of what I've actually done in this past 2 months, let's just start out day 1 of basically me taking it over. So I had basically negotiated this deal myself. It's just me that owns the company. That was something that I really wanted for myself. Like I wanted to have pure autonomy in my business, to be able to make decisions and to be able to execute my creative dream, because there are a lot of, I feel like, because I felt like this, there are a lot of people out there that think like, if I just had the chance, I could totally do this. It's just that, like so many other jobs, if you're handing in a resume and you have 0 experience, then they're not gonna hire you. And I was like, I just need an opportunity to be able to get into fashion. And I know 100% like I will succeed in it. One, because I'm just a driven, very goal-oriented person, but also because like I know I'm good at this. It's just a matter of actually doing it and proving that to other people. It's like I have all the faith in myself. I knew that this is what I was going to be good at, because when you dedicate all your time to something, and for me that thing was always fashion, then you are going to see results based on the time and effort that you put into it. So for example, when I was in my accounting job and I was working from home alone, not doing what I should have been doing, so I wasn't necessarily the greatest employee in this aspect, but when I would get frustrated or overwhelmed or stressed or something because I didn't have the guidance with that one job, especially because I was starting out in the industry and was pretty new, I would just turn to what I loved learning about, because I didn't have the passion to pursue learning more about the difficulties that I was having in the accounting industry. Whereas now, being and working in the fashion industry, but also like being a business owner, this is just exactly what I want to spend all of my time and effort doing and learning more about, because it's fueled by passion. And it's also, it's not just that, it's the responsibility of knowing that, for one, I have employees and I have to pay them, and it's sort of it's an honor to me to be able to have people trust me to give them a paycheck at the end of 2 weeks so that they can live a life that they want to live and they can support their families and all this sort of stuff. So there are a lot of things that I've learned, but it's come because I've put the time and effort into learning the things that I wasn't good at. And this is only the 2-month mark. Before I took it over, I spent a few months there basically learning the ropes. The previous owner I still have basically mentoring me, which has been amazing, because obviously like she has a lot of knowledge. She owned it and worked it for 37 years. So now me coming in and being able to have her knowledge was amazing. So if this can be my number 1 tip, it's find a mentor in the industry that you want to get into and talk to them. Because yes, my position is a little bit different given the relationship that we have, but at the end of the day, the concept is the same. It's just find somebody in the industry and start talking and get your name out and go for coffee dates. And this is something before I even knew that this deal was an option. I was reaching out to people that I sort of had no business talking to, and would just ask them like, hey, do you have 5 minutes for a phone call Friday afternoon? And they would be like, yeah, because who doesn't want to have a little extra coffee time on a Friday afternoon when you just want to clock out of work? So that was a big thing that I did, was going on LinkedIn, finding people in the industry that I wanted to work in, and just taking a chance and messaging them, but also giving yourself enough like credit and confidence to be able to say that other people that want to do something but aren't putting in the steps to start the process, you're already ahead of them. And this isn't about being better than other people. It's just about creating opportunities for yourself that won't be there unless you facilitate them. Like, other people aren't going to be doing these things because it's scary and it's uncomfortable. And the sooner you can get comfortable with being uncomfortable, doesn't really make a lot of sense, but that's like step number one to any sort of change in your life, whether it's a relationship or a career move or like a physical move. It's all uncomfortable at the beginning, and the more you do it, the better you get at it. Okay, we're moving to the couch. Once you're there and once you're in that conversation or coffee date, whatever it is, with whoever it is, pre-plan, first of all, pre-plan all of your questions, all of the connections that you might have with this person. It's not stalking them, but take the time when you're on LinkedIn to just scroll down and see what they've been reposting or commenting on, to see what they're interested in. And if you have a genuine, like, mutual connection, not necessarily with a person, but that could work too, bring up whatever that topic is and mention. If it's about like riding horses, for example, talk to them about that and make a connection based on a genuine interest that you both have in common, and you'll be surprised how far it'll take you. It's like you guys are getting a full tour of my house today. You're seeing a lot of different parts of the downstairs, which I haven't really shown yet. But anyway, I was thinking of other things that I wanted to recommend to you. And one of the very, very first steps that I think is so important to take. Oh, hold on, my battery's gonna die. If you're thinking, that's it, like, I want to quit my job, I want to change my life, I want to pursue my passion, the number one thing is going to be to start saving, or at least cut down drastically on any expenses that you can. Because yes, as you've seen across my channel, like, I've done a lot of unboxings and I've done come shopping with me videos, and you see that I buy things, but it is strategic. You need to make sure that you're taken care of so that on a month-to-month basis, you can keep living with a roof over your head, with food in your fridge. If you have a roommate or a spouse or a husband like I do, it sort of helps out. There's a lot of unexpected things that come up, even if it's just in the business, when you're first in business. So for example, over these past 2 months, I've realized, like, it's not just the rent of my building that my business is in, heating and lighting and that sort of thing, but it's also on top of payroll, ordering fabric. Advertising and promotion is something that is so huge as soon as you're getting into business, or like me, if you bought a business, there's a big transition that has to take place there in the public eye. So it's not just about it being the previous owners anymore. It's about starting off with the new creative vision and the new direction of the brand or the business. So if you're starting off in business and you need to basically show the world, like, hey, I exist now and this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm offering, then that also takes money. So that's something that I've learned just in the past few months, is like the public perception and the advertising part of it is, one, so important, because that's basically what gives you brand recognition and something to grow off of in the future. But also, if you're in my case where you buy a business and then transform it to make it yours, that transition process takes time and money, and it is what it is. So for me, I mentioned I bought a bridal salon, so I am now creating dresses and I've come up with my own designs. But in order to be able to get those dresses on the floor so that people can come in and try them on, I had to make them first. So not only did I need time to come up with the ideas, I needed to be able to take time to decide which fabrics are gonna work best with which dresses. I have to pay my employees to make them, because that's something that we actually do in-house, is we make things from scratch. So aside from all that, I then needed to shoot them and promote them. And that's something that I hadn't really taken time to sit down and think of every single fine detail and cost that was associated with that and exactly what it entailed. But let me tell you, now that I'm on the other side of it and now that I can sort of see things coming together, I've shot 2 dresses of the collection. The majority of the other ones are done, and now I have basically the start of my portfolio that I can use to show brides what I can do and what my skill set is and what my vision is and what my aesthetic is, and all of those things are so important because brand identity right now is everything. Just like from a consumer side, you're more drawn to brands that have a strong identity and a strong aesthetic, and especially if you're like me and aesthetics are super important, then this is something that you're going to want to invest time and money into in the beginning. But saving and making sure that you have enough on the personal side of things as well as the business side of things it's just so important. It's kind of paramount, because without sales you can't have a business, but without personal savings you can't fund your day-to-day life. Okay, let's move now. This is a very cute little background. The next tip, which I guess is tip number 3, even though these are so long, is all about mindset, because I have realized that before I took this over and before I decided I was even going through with it, I decided I needed to make sure that my mindset was super strong and super decided and certain about what I was doing if I was gonna have the confidence to move forward with it. So I started reading books and listening to podcasts, and I don't know if I've mentioned this on my channel before, but I'm a very spiritual, faith-based person. So I'm a Christian, and basically praying my way through it, even though it is such a small action, it is one that's so powerful. So along with doing work on myself spiritually, I made sure that I was surrounding myself with the right words and the right people and the right conversations that were building me up, so that I would be like super psyched with this new mindset in order to be able to take on this new business. Because let me tell you, owning a business and being an entrepreneur is no joke. It's all consuming. Like, all of your thoughts as soon as you're in it go right to how the business is doing and how I can improve things, and sales and public perception of it and social media. Like, there are so many different things to think about, and if your mindset isn't right, it's really, really hard to make it through. And this is coming from somebody that's only 2 months in, and I'm so excited to see where I'm at in the next year or so. I can't wait to have a year under my belt, but until I get there, I know that staying in the right mindset is everything. So like I mentioned before, Think Media is, for me, like, they've been amazing because they also come from a very spiritual perspective, and basically having that as like a foundation in a business is something that goes such a long way, because it can be really easy to get down on yourself or to doubt yourself or to think like, this is so much bigger than I am. How am I actually gonna be able to do this? I don't know enough about business to really sink my teeth into it, or to feel like I'm the boss and lead a team and be somebody who's not just a leader, but also a supporter of those that work for you or with you. So taking time to be sure that I am motivated myself, because if I'm not motivated, then nobody's going to be motivated. And if I'm not fully 100% committed and believing in the process and in the business, then how can I expect any of my employees to do the same? It just doesn't work. So picking up a good book, I read You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero in like a minute. I soaked it all up. But on top of that, I've listened to podcasts, not only that had her on it, but like I mentioned, the Think Media podcast, Work Party with Jacqueline Johnson, or Business Babes Collective with Danielle Weave. I knew I would get her name eventually. It's amazing to see the community that's around people in business, women in business especially, because that's the category that I fall into. But there are so many different motivating podcasts and conversations that you can be a part of, and I highly, highly, highly suggest that you just bite the bullet and do it and message these people. Keep yourself in the mindset of listening to people that have done what you want to do already, because those are the ones that you can learn from. I think you can either learn the easy or the hard way, especially in business. Like, I want to do myself a favor and listen to the people that have already gain the success that I hope to one day, and take their advice, because at the end of the day, if they've done it already and they've succeeded, and I can see their achievements, and I can also see how they have struggled and be able to learn from their mistakes instead of having to go through the same thing myself, then that's what I want to do. But if you want to succeed at this, you have to wake up every single day knowing like, this is exactly what I should be doing. You can't have self-doubt. Not saying that it isn't going to happen, but the majority of the time you have to be the one in your own corner. And that's my advice to you, is start that mentality and start acting like that, and start talking about yourself and to yourself in a way that shows you that you're in your corner before you even take the first step, because that's going to be what carries you through. At least into month 2. I don't know, we'll see all of this in a couple months. Okay, let's finish back where we started, which is over by the fireplace because it's nice and cozy over here. Part of what I want this to be, like I mentioned in the beginning, is to document what I've done so far, but what I've actually done on a day-to-day, aside from all of these sort of prep things. I wanted to mention some of the things that I'm really like proud of that I've actually accomplished so far, and having a collection it's insane to me. Like, I actually have a collection of dresses that I designed that went from an idea to a sketch to real life, and that is crazy. Being able to see the fruits of your labor, to see these things come to life, especially after a really hard season, is extra amazing and humbling and gratifying. Everything about it is exactly how I want it to feel. And that's one thing that with entrepreneurship and with being a business owner and with changing my life 100% from how it was before to how it is now, it feels exactly the way that I want it to feel. You know, when you go on vacation, Rome, for example, okay, I love Rome. My background's Italian. I love everything about Italy. But when I was in Rome, I realized I had no idea that the Colosseum was in the middle of the city. And it's not that it was a letdown, it's just that it was very different than my expectations. I thought it was gonna be like in a big field for whatever reason. But the reason why I'm saying this is that it's not that I didn't meet expectations in terms of how great it was, it's just that it was very different. And when it comes to the life shift that I've made, it's better than my expectations. Like, this is exactly what I wanted to do and what I wanted to feel and how I wanted to work. It's basically 24/7 because your mind is never off of what you do in a day. It's always on the next bill coming in or the next paint that I've got to pick up because I'm painting the store this week. There are so many things to think about. It's the kind of stress that I wanted to have. The stress that I had before, it was kind of useless stress, because even when I overcame it, there was no satisfaction in it. Whereas now I'm working towards a goal, and any inch that I make towards the goal, I feel it. It's emotional. Seeing the collection that I've made and doing the photo shoot that I did a couple weeks ago with the first 2 dresses that were done. It's actually for an ad in a magazine, which is gonna be so surreal the day that I get my hands on that. All of this to say, it's so worth it to do what you love on a day-to-day basis, because the feeling of actually doing it and waking up and being excited. I've never been a morning person, but waking up and getting out of bed and getting in the car and driving to work is not a chore. It is so exactly what I want to be doing, and I'm so grateful that I get to feel that way. Sometimes I wonder, like, how did this even happen? But then I realized this is exactly what was supposed to happen. And I took the steps in order to make it come to life. And that's exactly what my plan is for the rest of my time owning this business and being in this new career, is just keep doing the work, and it will pay off, because that's just what happens. The more you focus on something, the more you see results. I just really want to encourage anybody that needs to hear it to focus on your goals and to focus on your passion and to focus on your dream life, because it's not that far off. Like, you can change whatever you're in now, whatever stage of life you're in now, to make it be the foundation and the preparation season for exactly what you want out of life and whatever is to come. That's just my story so far. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you very soon in my next one. And I can't wait to share with you guys more of how my life is changing. Do what you love, because life is too short, but it's also the longest thing that we're ever gonna do. So you might as well use your time wisely. When you're happy, it's everything. So just do it. Bye, guys. And Merry Christmas. I don't know if I'm gonna see you before then, but Merry Christmas. It's like the best time of the year. You saw my tree wasn't even decorated. I have had no time, and that's something that you also have to consider if you're changing your life 100%, is that you'll have no time. But it's fine, because the time that you do have is spent on what you love doing, and that's what matters. So, okay, that's it. Okay, bye.